Kalispera everyone! Thanks for joining. It's our fourth episode of Meraki Greek wine series. Hopefully to many more to come. I already booked for a month ahead lots of Greek wine producers to present to you. I hope you all had an amazing... Hello everyone! I hope you all had an amazing weekend, enjoying good wines, hopefully Greek. Actually, please let us know what you've been drinking for the past few days. Let's see what you've been indulging yourselves lately. Does anyone wants to share? Oh, somebody had Portuguese wine. Good. Okay, we're having a Côte de Provence rosé. Great, guys. So I see that you've been enjoying yourselves lately. Oh, Nasirtiko, very well. So our Greek wine talks, they have a result now. People are drinking more Greek wine. That's good. Okay, hello from London. Okay, I will share with you. We're gonna make a habit of this. I'm gonna share with you every time the map of Greece, so you see where we are located. Let's add thanks to New Wines of Greece, credit for the map. So that's the whole map of Greece with all the Greek wine regions. But what I would like you to have a look is on this one. So Anne Kokotou, which we will have our wine producer this evening, is north of Athens. Okay, let's see if we can add Anne now. Okay, we're waiting for Anne to answer. Super excited about this.
Hi.
Hey, Kalispera.
Kalispera.
Good evening. How are you, Anne?
Good evening, Alexandra. I'm fine, and it's a great relief to see you because I wasn't sure if I was going to manage the technology, but I pressed the button. There you are.
That's good. I had lots of, I was nervous for the first time as well. I didn't know what I'm doing, but I think it's a learning curve, so we just live and learn. Okay, so I was asking our audience what they've been drinking for the past few days, because we had a lovely, actually, weekend here in the UK. The weather was lovely. And everyone was jumping in with answers like from, there was some Portuguese, now I can see some Rioja, red Rioja. Then we had Côte de Provence, but then we had few people having Greek wine as well. So that's good.
I was pleased to see an Asiatico there.
Yes, and a Greek rosé I've seen earlier as well. What's happening now in the vineyard? How you are? How are you doing?
Well, it's a really busy time of year, as you know. You know, the sort of battle to keep everything, to keep up with everything. Now the grapes are set, the bunches are formed. So we're, you know, passing the branches through on the trays, cutting off the tops. It's a lot of work, but it's really exciting because you can see we've got very good grape formation this year. So far, so good.
Cool. I was just sharing earlier the map just for the people to visualize where within Greece is the winery which we are talking about. So can you tell us a bit about the region and how is the terroir and everything?
Sure. So we're about 25 kilometers north of Athens. We're on the foothills of Mount Pendeli. We're at an altitude of 420 meters to 450, and we always mention that because that's quite important as far as the climate goes. We have plenty of sunshine, of course, being Greece, but here, because of the altitude, in the summer, the temperature doesn't usually go over 30 degrees, and the evenings are quite cool. So it means that the grapes ripen slowly and retain their acidity. We have good soil. We have sand, silt and clay, and underneath we have the bedrock of the Pendeli marble, which is the white marble which was used for building the Parthenon on the Acropolis. Apart from
okay,
so you know, it's an interesting terroir, and I think it gives results.
Mm-hmm. And the climate is. Did you see any difference now with the changing, with the global warming?
Absolutely. Here where we are, we always used to have quite a lot of snow in the winter. This year we had snow, but it's less than it used to be. We get good winter, spring rainfall. But more recently, we've been having summer rainfall, which we never used to get. You know, in Greece, it was really reliable. You knew that you wouldn't get rain during the ripening period. That, you know, it doesn't exist anymore. I mean, we do get rain in the summer. Last year, in fact, the harvest was pretty much back to the levels at the time of year that we used to know. But the previous years, it had been getting earlier and earlier and earlier, you know, because of the warming. So we've definitely seen a change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's happening, unfortunately, everywhere.
But this
we
year,
have to adjust.
Yeah, but this year again, the development of the vines, it's back to sort of the time of year we would expect, because we had both last year and this year we had long, cool springs, which was great.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about your winery and what's the philosophy behind?
Okay, so should I tell you just a bit about how we started?
Yes, a bit of history as well, yes.
But just most people, you know, start with a great vision. They want to make wine. We went a bit backwards at it. What my husband and I found this piece of land in 1975. At that point, we were living right down in the center. Athens was getting crowded, it was getting polluted. Our wonderful view of the Acropolis had been blocked by a new block of flats in front of where we lived. So my husband said, that's enough with Athens, let's move out. So we found this piece of land, which was in the middle of a forest on the mountainside. And we built our house and moved out here when our daughter was a baby. Everybody thought we were mad. There was no road, no water, no electricity. So it was a great adventure. And then having moved in here, we realized that the whole area was with vines. It was all vineyard. And the local municipality is called Dionysus. We're in the area of Dionysus. So if you live in a region which is Dionysus, you make wine. So that inspired us, and we decided to plant the vine. So we planted in 1980. At that time, we were very much in the vanguard of a new wave of Greek winemakers. There were very few bottled wines on the Greek market, and very few small wineries. So being small, and we've stayed small, the idea was to make something of quality, something that would be different. That's what
was that the moment when you decided to plant more international grape varieties? So how did you start with that? Because in Greece it's this battle, if may I say it like that, between the international grape varieties, which they've been planted like 30-40 years ago, and now they try to bring back the indigenous grape varieties. So what is if you can explain a bit that.
When we started, we planted our vineyard in 1980, we had no idea what we were doing. So we went to the experts. We went to the Greek Vine Institute and Wine Institute, which are quite near where we are, and asked their advice. And their advice was Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Chardonnay. They're doing experiments in the area exactly where we are. And they said, you know, they give very good results. And so that's what they recommended, which was something which appealed to me because these were varieties that I knew. Grown up in England, drinking wines there, which were mostly French or German wines. But the thing is that at that time, a lot of the Greek indigenous wines, grape varieties, which we love drinking nowadays, were completely unknown. No research had been done into them, so they hadn't been identified. They were grown. It's not that they were not there, but people didn't know them, and their potential had been realized at that time. So what basically Greece was doing was borrowing research that had been done abroad and bringing in international grape varieties. So I wouldn't say it's a battle. This was what was happening then. Since then, there's been a lot of investment in Greek wineries, in Greek vineyards, a lot of other small wineries opening up. people discovering and identifying these varieties and planting them in other areas as well. So
do you think they are stronger into the market, the international grape varieties or the indigenous ones, especially for the or let's say, how is the local market versus the export market?
Okay, so I think for me, indigenous Greek grape varieties are very exciting, but wine drinkers are often very conservative and not very confident. So if you offer them something they know, a Chardonnay, a Cabernet Sauvignon, and that they've, they're familiar with, they might stick with that. They'll choose that because they feel it's a safe choice. So we see that quite a lot in the tourist regions, in the hotels, they want to have some Greek wines from international varieties as well.
Yes, I know myself because being in the restaurant, and I often have guests they would go rather with the international than tourists, especially if the Greek grape varieties, they're hard to pronounce.
Exactly.
So when they try to pronounce it and to order it, it's a bit tricky for them, and they rather stick with something which they know.
Well, that's my experience too, and that's why, because exactly the grape varieties, it's difficult to pronounce them. You don't know them. But what I find is that once people take the plunge and try Greek wine, they're lovely. They like them. They enjoy them. And
absolutely.
But that's why it's so important that we need people like you to be ambassadors for Greek wine. So
that's what I'm going there, and I'm making them pronounce the grape variety at the table. It's a lot of laugh happening there, and they remember me after because I put them through that. But yeah, in the end, I'm pursuing as well for the indigenous grape varieties. But I absolutely want to have as well in the list good international grape varieties, but coming from Greece, to show people that you can have, I don't know, a Sauvignon Blanc. It doesn't have to be necessarily from Sancerre or Loire Valley. Can be from anywhere in the world and can be still lovely and fresh and everything. And the same with the Cabernet Sauvignon and everything. But tell us, which vintage so far, because you have lots of experience,
been doing it for
was the hardest?
Well, I mean, what was a total disaster was the vintage of 2016, when we lost all our crop in 45 minutes to a hailstorm in early June, which was, I mean, definitely, I think, the climate change, because we see much more extreme weather conditions. We'd never seen a hailstorm like that before, and it's much more frequent nowadays, hail. So that was a disaster. 2017 was very, very hot in early July. But we have drip irrigation here, and I think in a hot climate, it's very useful to have irrigation. You don't need to use it always. You don't need to use it much, but on that occasion, it really saved our grapes.
But I have here actually a 2015 Cabernet Sauvignon.
Kokotos Estate, right?
Yes. Yeah. Tell us a bit, how was the 2015? And I can see you bottled unfiltered. Tell us a bit about this wine.
Okay, so this is from, it's not the first wine we ever made, because the first wine we ever made was from the local grape variety Savatino, from our neighbours' vineyards. But this is the first wine from our own vineyard. So it's a wine that, we love. It's aged for about 2 years. And of course, as you know, nothing set in stone in winemaking. So about 2 years, depending on the vintage, for 2 years in French oak barrels. At one point, we were 100% new barrels. Now we use about 50% new, 50% second use. We don't filter it. We intervene as little as possible in this wine, a long maceration. So I find that it's a wine that, it keeps your interest. It evolves in the bottle. It evolves
yes.
in the glass.
But the structure is still there. So it's a 2015 vintage. I opened it actually like 45 minutes before I enter live. It's still opening up and it's still still developing.
This I would usually decant because it hasn't been filtered, and to give it some air before I drink it. But yes, 45 minutes is great.
And what other grape varieties? What other wines you?
Okay, so we the local Slovakia know that I said we work a lot with that. It was the first grape we ever used, and so we've been experimenting with that all along. And we do a version of like which I find very interesting, which is it's fermented in acacia barrels. So we ferment it in the acacia barrels and keep it on the lees for about with lee stirring. And the idea of acacia barrels is an idea I heard from another Greek wine, right? One of his wines in a restaurant, read that it was acacia. I rang him the next day and I said, Yanni was Yannis Paraskevopoulos, you know, what is this with acacia? Where do you get it? Why do you use it? He's a professor of enology as well as a great winemaker. And so since then we've been doing our that because it's for me a wood, it's a fruit, and good with these, you know. We also use varieties. Now, apart from our own, we grow Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, Gewürztraminer, and
I actually never tried the Gewürztraminer from Greece.
It's
yes,
a dry Gewürztraminer. I think it's very typical. It's very popular. It's very popular here.
So it's more popular in the local market.
Yes, probably, exactly. And then we buy in as well Svatikrodhitis and Ayogitiko for another red, for which we make a very different style of red. It's an easygoing, young, fruity red wine.
So what would be an innovative idea which you took from outside of Greece and put in your winery?
Okay, well, years ago, I mean, I used to travel a lot. I went to wine fairs, visited wineries. So one idea I came back with early on was keeping the whites sur lit, to keep them on the wine leaf. And that's something now that's standard in all. We used not to do it. We used to make very fresh white wines. We were in a hurry to bottle. Now we keep the leaves. They become more complex, more rounded, and better ageability. I always had an eye out for barrel makers when I'm visiting, especially, you know, the chateau in Bordeaux.
I think I'm losing you a bit, Anne, there. Okay, we are back.
No, I can't hear you.
No, we are back.
So in the mid-90s, I think it was. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's a bit in and out, but I think it can recover.
Okay, all right now.
Now it's fine.
Right. Okay. So just saying, I was on a course in Montpellier, which was run by the Institute of Masters of Wine, and Michel Chapoutier did a dissertation on biodynamic wines. So I came back all enthused about that. And from there we went organic in our vineyards. We haven't got biodynamic yet. One thing that's important about this place is that it's our home. We live within the vineyards. Our children were brought up here. Our grandchildren are being brought up here. So, you know, I think it's absolutely obvious. It's your home. Your children here, your grandchildren here. You go organic. You look after the soil. You look after the environment.
Yes,
and my daughter
because I've seen that you have a bit of diversity in your within your estate, isn't it?
Yeah, my daughter who lives here now, as I said, has a vegetable garden. It's cultivated by permaculture method, so that's, you know, beyond organic. We have chickens, ponies, ducks, olives. So we make our own olive oil. Well, we take it to a press, we produce our own olive oil. So yeah, it's a small farm. Okay,
so after all this, my research in Greek wines, and you know, because I find you're always gonna find a bit better examples than others. But what Greek wine can do better? You know, what would be the strengths which they should pull? You know, to be more into the international market, a bit more known. And what do you think, from your opinion?
I think that's the key. Now, in the last 40 years, there's been a complete renaissance in Greek wines. Now we find really well-made wines coming from Greece. You have to always remember that Greece is a small country with a small wine production, you know, compared to the worldwide wine production. So we have small marketing budgets. So I think it's now presentation, promotion, is to have a clear message and get that over to find ambassadors like you, like our importers in London, Maltby Greek. Give them a special plug because as you
yes, but about that, actually, I'm sorry to interrupt you, because I know you've been living in the UK and you went to Greece, and then actually your son made the return journey and started is one of the co-founders from Maltby Greek. How did you let him escape the winery and everything?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's one my husband asks every day. But, both of my children went to study in the UK. I was there for a long time. My daughter's an architect, many years of study, but she came back to Greece. Stephanos has always been, I think, more of the Anglo-Saxon side of the family. He loves living in London. He enjoys working there. What's nice with his work is that he has he's a partner in Maltby Greek who import Greek delicatessens and wines into the UK market. So he has that day a connection with Greece, and especially the part of Greece which he loves, which is the countryside, finding organic producers. So for me, there was no question of letting him go. He's doing what he likes. He's happy where he is. But
yes, they have a great portfolio. They have everything. I think who's Greek and living here, and they miss their home and the taste of Greek products. Yes, they always can access like that.
Yeah.
I know you're working with your husband very close, but when it's coming to the winemaking and the winemaking decisions, how do you split that?
Okay, so it's a team effort. Right from the beginning, we've always had a consultant enologist. So and we, you know, between us, we make up a team. And I think we complement each other well because Yorgos is the doer. Yorgos is the one who creates everything. He's one of those people who has an idea and the next day he's put it into action. If it wasn't for him, you know, none of this would be here. And then I'm the one who picks up the pieces and does research and follows through. I'm also, I would say, the more public face of the winery, so I do the tours and the tastings. And then, but when it comes to the winemaking, we all sit down, ask the enologist, and we've had from the beginning, we started a man, an enologist, who was also an agronomist. So it was very important that he really gave so much attention to the grapes. And that's something we learned from him. Since then, we've had, we're now on our third, 2 girls. One last year left us here to go into education. And now we've got a very talented young female enologist. And we make this together. You know, the style of wines we want, taste. We're always looking into something new. I mean, we continue to explore at every vintage. And we also now, since last year, we brought on board a consultant enologist. He's a professor of enology. So he's bringing ideas from abroad. He goes to seminars. You know, he's very much so in addition to the team.
So it's a really team effort, and everyone is bringing their experience and knowledge.
Stephanos from London helps. He's very much, you know, we keep in touch. And my daughter more, not so much on the winemaking side, but she does a lot of education for school children. So it's learning in nature. So she has children up during the mornings, and it's education in nature. So she's very much into that side of it.
Very interesting. What advice would you give to somebody who'd like to open their own winery after all these years of ups and downs, I'm sure?
Yeah. Well, I would say think carefully. because you have to know, it becomes a passion. It takes over your life. So it's not a 9-to-5 job. So I would say, look internationally for inspiration, but then see locally, what you can do. Be very clear about what the wine you want to make and why you want to make it. And then, go for it, stick with it. Make sure there's a market for it, how are you going to sell it, where are you going to sell it, how are you going to present it, how are you going to label it. But, good luck. It's fun. For us, it's been a whole way of life. Because as I say, it's our home. We live here. It's 7-day a week. It's great. It's been an adventure.
What other, actually, it's just crossed my mind this, what other markets, like international markets, you are exporting apart of UK?
We've been actually sort of up and down, wine production company much bigger. At the moment, we only in the UK. We used to be in the States, in Germany, in Belgium. But at the moment, we're only in the UK.
Okay. So that means the local market is very important for you.
Very important, very important. Which is a big question mark at the moment.
Well, we're trying as well from London.
Thank you.
But the competition here is very, very high and very demanding.
It's huge. I mean, the world is a big place. There are a lot of wine drinkers all over the world. It's
good. Let's see now if anybody has any questions. I think we covered most of the stuff. Okay, so at the moment nobody. Okay, thank you, Anne, for taking the time to share your experience with us and tell us your stories, which I found them very, very interesting. I wish you a very, very good vintage, despite what's happening in the world.
Thank you,
I'm
Alexandra.
Sure the nature does its duty, and
well, that's the amazing thing watching now, under lockdown. Nature doesn't know what's going on.
Yes,
and everything's been wonderful. Wildflowers this year, the vines going on, bringing beautiful grapes. We now have to empty our tanks to make room for this year's vintage.
Okay, so what are you releasing? What are you releasing now?
We haven't bottled all of our this year's wines yet. Our white wines. We'll be releasing in the autumn. We'll be releasing the estate you're tasting, the 2015, which was a good vintage for me. No 2016, as I told you. So we'll be bringing out the 2017 in the autumn. We've still got our 2018 Athinagoras, and we'll be bottling our Sabatiano next week, the 2019. We've got a lovely rosé which is already made and bottled.
So you have a very good range for everyone's taste.
We have 11 different labels, which is a bit excessive, but it's because everybody has a favorite. My husband wanted Stramina, wanted the Asiatico, I want the barrel fermented. So, to keep us all happy, we keep it in our range.
That's good. Is Stefanos has a favorite? Is he having a saying as well too?
Well, Stefanos was here last year. He helped go out to the vineyards and get all the samples. We went through the whole protocol of how we were going to make the wine. To be honest, I'm not sure which it is. But he takes them away when he comes here.
I will save this question for him because
exactly. Yeah.
It's something pending as well. A few, like a small interview with them as well. So we will see.
Okay. I'll look forward to seeing
Anne,
that.
thank you so much again. And
Alexandra,
have a lovely evening. I'm going to have a steak with this lovely wine. I was actually enjoying even sipping like that. Usually I cannot have it on its own, but it's so elegant that you can even sip it like that. You don't really need the food necessarily. Okay, thank you, Anne.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Anne.
Bye.
Okay, that was Anne. I hope you all enjoyed and you learned something new. I will see you next Monday, and I will have the famous Greek sparkling wine producer Karanika for next Monday, which I'm very, very excited about that. From me, Yamas, and see you next Monday. Stay safe.